A black woman steps out of the shower, runs her fingers through her hair, and 20 strands come out in her hand. 30, 50. That has been you, and you told yourself it was normal shedding. It is not. That is the bottle sitting 3 feet away on the shelf. 4 brands in this video have been dragged into a federal courtroom over hair falling out. One wrote the biggest check in the history of hair care in this country, $26 million. And one quietly changed its formula and never told a single customer why. And after the 7 bottles, 11,877 women are sitting in a courtroom in Chicago as you watch this. Almost every one of them is black. So walk into a kitchen off Beale Street and meet Velma Ray Dupree, an older black woman past 70 whose crown is still full. That was 7 bottles that never made it through her front door, and 3 things older black women used instead. Go and get the bottle out of your own shower. You are going to read that label with me. And know this first. Black hair leaves the head 2 ways. It snaps off partway down, which looks like hair that stopped growing. Or the follicle lets go at the root, which looks like handfuls in the drain. Every bottle on this list does one of those 2 things, starting with number 7. Number 7, the everyday one that lathers up thick. Here is what is actually happening in that bottle. The foam is a degreaser. Look at your label, sodium lauryl sulfate or sodium laureth sulfate in the first 4 or 5 ingredients. It cannot tell dirt from the oil your own scalp made to protect the strand. And here is why it lands harder on black hair. A coiled strand has bends, and every bend is a weak point where the outer layer lifts. Scalp oil already struggles to travel down them. Strip that oil off twice a week, and the strand stands bare at every bend. So it snaps, halfway down. And here is where it becomes personal. Snapping does not look like hair loss. It looks like hair that will not grow past the shoulders. Black women have been saying for years that their hair just does not grow. It grows. It is breaking off as fast as it comes in. An African-American grandmother in a bathroom off Auburn Avenue washed with plain soap and warm water, and no foam ever touched her scalp on a Tuesday. So that one breaks the strand from the outside. The next was never sold as harsh at all. It was sold as the safe choice, made for hair like yours, and 13 lawsuits say otherwise. Number 6, Diva Curl. 13 class action lawsuits, consolidated in federal court in New York. A settlement of $5.2 million. Final approval January of 2022. This is the one that hurts, because DevaCurl was the brand black women with curls trusted. No sulfates, made for coils, sold as the clean choice, priced like it. In February of 2020, the photographs started going up, thinning at the crown, handfuls in the shower. Now I want to be exact. Diva Concepts vigorously denies every one of those allegations, says there is no link to hair loss, and that it's settled only to avoid a trial. So here is what is actually happening, and it costs you nothing. Sulfate-free does not mean gentle. It means they removed one detergent and put another in, and it tells you nothing about the rest of the bottle. And here is where it becomes personal. You are the black woman in that aisle who reads labels. You spent $15 instead of $4 trying to do right by your own hair. The front of a bottle is marketing. The back is chemistry. Velma Ray in a kitchen off Hastings Street never paid extra for a promise printed on a label. That one was sold as safe. The next you bought trying to fix something, and it is the only bottle here where the damage was not done by the product. It was done by the mistake. Number 5, the medicated dandruff one. Here is the number that should stop you. Between 3 and 6% of black women live with a scaring hair loss called central centrifugal cicatricial alopecia. It starts at the crown, and early on it looks like flaking and breakage at the part, which is exactly what a great many black women treat with the wrong bottle. Here is what is actually happening. 2 different things make a scalp flake, and they are opposites. Real dandruff is a yeast on an oily scalp. A dry scalp flakes because it has been stripped and has nothing left. Coiled hair scalps run dry far more often than oily. So a very large share of Black women staring at flakes are looking at plain dryness and reaching for the strongest degreasing shampoo in the store. Zinc pyrithione, selenium sulfide, coal tar. Real ingredients that do a real job on real dandruff. But week after week on a scalp that was only dry, they strip the barrier further and the flaking gets worse. So you buy the stronger one and it gets worse again. And here is where it becomes personal. No Black woman in that aisle did anything careless. You saw a problem and you read the box. Nobody told you there were two kinds of flaking. An older Black woman in a kitchen off Overtown greased her scalp when it flaked. She never washed it harder. Now we are halfway down. And the next is the biggest check anybody ever wrote over hair in this country. Sold on television by a celebrity. And it did the exact opposite of everything you just heard. Number 4, When by Chaz Dean. Nearly 2,000 complaints to the Food and Drug Administration. Women reporting hair loss, breakage, balding, itching, and rashes. The agency opened an investigation. The class action settled in 2017 for $26.25 million. Still the largest hair care class action in United States history. The company denied wrongdoing throughout. Here is what is actually happening, and it is the part nobody expects. When was a cleansing conditioner. No lather at all. The whole selling point was that lather is the enemy. So think what that means next to number 7. 1 bottle full of foam, 1 with none. And Black women reported losing hair from both. And here is where it becomes personal. This is the moment a Black woman stops trusting the front of a bottle for good. It can be sold to you either way, by a celebrity on a screen, and none of it tells you one thing about what your own scalp will do. Let that land before we move on. Velma Ray in a kitchen off Beale Street never bought a promise off a screen in her life. That one made noise. 2,000 women called the government. The next one makes no noise at all because you are legally not allowed to know what is in it. Number 3, the one that smells the best in the cabinet. Here is the number, 84%. In 2018, the Silent Spring Institute took 18 hair products used by Black women and ran everyone through a machine that reads what is truly inside a bottle. They found 45 hormone-disrupting chemicals, between 6 and 30 in every product. And 84% of what they found was not printed anywhere on the label. Not in the small print, not there at all. Here is what is actually happening. Under United States law, a company does not have to tell you what is inside the word fragrance. So one word legally stands in for dozens of chemicals, and you will never see their names. 11 of those 18 carried something already banned in Europe. Fragrance is also the most common cause of contact allergy from a cosmetic. And a Black woman with a scalp that reacts has a scalp sitting quietly inflamed, week after week, under hair she cannot see through. An inflamed follicle lets go early. That is the handfuls. And here is where it becomes personal. Black women have been reading labels this whole video, turning bottles around in the aisle, trying to be careful. You cannot be careful about something they are not required to print. Velma Ray's kitchen off Beale Street smelled like whatever was in the pot. Her hair did not smell like anything at all. Now do one thing for me before the last 2, because the last 2 have formaldehyde in them. Turn that bottle around, read the first 5 ingredients, and put the first word you do not recognize in the comments. Just the one word. We read every one. And if you would rather listen the way you listen to somebody talking in a kitchen, we are on Spotify now. Folding clothes on a Sunday, sitting under the dryer with nothing to do, put this on and keep your hands free. Same as everything we make, it comes out of the vault at blackgrandmasvault.com. Number 2, OGX. In 2021, Lawsuits were filed in New Jersey and Illinois, alleging that OGX products containing DMDM hydantoin caused hair loss and scalp burns. OGX was a Johnson & Johnson brand for years and sits with Kenvue now. Here is what is actually happening in that bottle. DMDM hydantoin is a preservative. It stops mold growing in a bottle that sits in a steamy bathroom for 2 years, and it does that by slowly releasing small amounts of formaldehyde into the product. Formaldehyde is what a laboratory uses to preserve tissue. The World Health Organization's Cancer Agency classifies it as a human carcinogen. At the amount in a shampoo, the common problem is a reaction: redness, itching, a scalp that feels tight and hot, and an inflamed follicle does not hold on to hair. Now here is the strange part. That September, the company announced it would stop using it. No recall was issued. Nothing was pulled. Every bottle already on a shelf stayed where it was. And here is where it becomes personal. Nobody knocked on a single door in any black neighborhood in this country. There was no letter. If you had that bottle under your sink in 2021, it is very likely still under there. Go and look. The company denies its products caused harm. OGX changed the formula and stayed quiet. The last one changed nothing at all, and it is still on the shelf this afternoon. Number 1. Trisemi Keratin Smooth. This is the furthest along of all of them. A class action was filed against Unilever, transferred to the Northern District of Illinois, and it is in settlement discussions right now. Plaintiffs allege the keratin shampoo line, which contained DMDM hydantoin, caused hair loss and scalp burns. Unilever has consistently maintained its products are safe. Nothing has been proven at trial. Here is what is actually happening, and you can check it in 60 seconds. Find any bottle in your house more than a few years old. If DMDM hydantoin is in that list, look for the word formaldehyde near it. You will not find it. The law here does not require it. In Europe, it does. Over there, a product that releases formaldehyde has to carry a warning saying exactly that. Same chemical, same bottle. One country tells you, and one does not. And here is where it becomes personal. And this is the whole video in one sentence. Nothing on this list was ever hidden from the companies. All of it was hidden from the black women buying it. Velma Ray's dresser off Beale Street held a comb, a tin, and a bottle of castor oil. Nothing in that room needed a preservative. So that is the 7. Now, step out of the shower with me, because the other shelf is where this stops being about shampoo. One quick stop on the way. In 2012, Unilever pulled the Suave Keratin Infusion Smoothing Kit after the Food and Drug Administration counted a recall covering more than 380,000 kits. Women had reported hair falling out and burns on the scalp, and a court later approved a settlement of $10.2 million. The court's own decision called the active ingredient extremely corrosive, and part of that complaint was that the kit had been advertised as free of formaldehyde. Hold on to that phrase, because now we get to those 11,000 black women in Chicago. The chemical relaxer. Now, I want to be fair, because I am not here to shame anybody for a chair they sat in. Almost every black woman over 60 sat in that chair. It was not a mistake. It was what the world asked of you to get a job, to walk into a room without somebody deciding something about you first. But every black woman watching deserves to know what is happening right now. In a federal courtroom in the Northern District of Illinois, there is a case called MDL 3060. As of July, it holds 11,877 claims. It is the 5th largest active case of its kind in this country. The defendants are L'Oreal, Revlon, Soft Sheen Carson, and Strength of Nature. The products named include Dark and Lovely, Optimum, Just for Me, and Cream of Nature. Every one of those boxes sat in a beauty supply in a black neighborhood for decades. The black women filing say the companies knew and did not warn them. The companies deny it. L'Oreal has said publicly it is confident in the safety of its products and that the lawsuits have no legal merit. Nothing has been proven. But here is why those cases exist. In October of 2022, the National Institutes of Health published a study in the Journal of the National Cancer Institute. They followed 33,000 women, a great many of them Black, for almost 11 years. Those who used chemical straighteners more than 4 times a year were more than twice as likely to develop cancer of the uterus. Out of 100 who never used one, fewer than 2 would develop it by 70. Out of 100 frequent users, about 4. And around 60% of the straightener users in that study were Black women. The researchers looked at hair dye, bleach, highlights, and perms too. No link with any of them. Only the straighteners. And there is one more finding from that silent spring testing that I held back until now, because it belongs here. Of all 18 products they put through that machine, the ones carrying the highest levels of chemicals banned in Europe were the relaxers marketed to little Black girls, not the adult boxes, the children's boxes. Let that one land. Now the honest part, and I will always give it straight. 2 in 100 going to 4 is a doubling and worth knowing, but 96 out of 100 frequent users did not develop it. I am not here to frighten anybody. What I am here to say is this. In Europe, well over 1,000 ingredients are barred before a cosmetic reaches a shelf. Here it is closer to a dozen. So, an African-American grandmother in a shop off Central Avenue in 1972 was not being careless. She was reading a label written to tell her nothing. The burning was the only warning she ever got, and she was taught it meant it was working. So that is what came out of that house. Here is what went in. 3 things. All of them grow out of the ground, and no Black woman in that kitchen ever had to read a label to use them. Number 3, African Black soap. This is what she washed with, and it is the whole answer to those 7 bottles. Plantain skins and cocoa pods burned to ash, cooked with palm oil, set to cure. It came across the water with the women who came across the water. No synthetic detergent, no fragrance, no preservative, because nothing in it spoils. One thing to know, and I will give it straight. Black soap runs high on the pH scale, and high pH lifts the outer layer of the strand. So Velma Ray never finished on the soap. She finished with water and apple cider vinegar poured over her head off Beale Street, which brings that layer back down flat and shut. Soap, then vinegar. That is the wash, and it costs about $1. Number 2, castor oil. 1 ingredient, pressed out of a bean. This one went on the scalp, the part line, and along the edges. It is thick and slow and stays where you put it, sealing in the water already there. Velma Ray warmed a little in her palms in a kitchen off Beale Street and worked it down the part on a Saturday night. Not the whole head, just the part. And number 1, shea butter, out of a nut from a tree in West Africa. Solid in the jar, melts at the temperature of your own hand. It holds an edge and a coil in place without any hold product, which means no alcohol, no fixing resin, and no fragrance sitting against your scalp all day. That jar on a shelf off Beale Street lasted a whole winter and never needed a chemical to keep it from turning. Soap and vinegar to wash, castor oil for the scalp, shea to seal it. That is the entire shelf, and it costs less than 1 bottle off this list. Velma Ray in a kitchen off Beale Street was not doing one thing you cannot do this week. She just did less. Nothing on her head she could not have explained herself. Now, the honest part, and we will always give it to you straight. If your crown is thinning, and it will not slow down no matter what you change, go and see a dermatologist. That scarring hair loss from number 5 is the most common form of scarring hair loss in African American women. It starts at the crown and spreads outward, and once a follicle scars over, it does not come back. Caught early, it can be stopped. Caught late, it cannot. There is no shame in it and no reason to wait. The oils carry you a long way. Your doctor carries you the rest of the way home. And if you want the rest, how much castor oil to use and how often, how to mix that vinegar rinse so it does not strip, and every remedy these older Black women use that we had no room for today, it is written out plain inside the hair guide at blackgrandmasvault.com. So do 2 things before you go. Tap subscribe, because next week we open the conditioner, and what sits in there is worse than anything you heard today, because you do not rinse it out. Then tell me in the comments which of the 7 you are holding right now, not the one you are proud of, the one you found, and take that bottle out of the shower this week. Leave it out for 6 weeks. Come back and tell me what your crown is doing. 1 bottle, 6 weeks. That is where all of it starts.